Coming to you from the Lydia Media Studios in the heart of Lewiston, Auburn, it's Lydia's Lunch Bunch, LA's afternoon morning show with Mark, Sarah, and Pam. We're covering news and events in the greater LA area and talking to the people making a difference in our community. Give us a listen at lydiamediallc.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And feel free to share your comments, questions, or suggestions via email at podcast@lydiamediallc.com.
Today's show is brought to you by United Piping, serving residential and commercial customers with new installations and repairs. Call today and schedule your oil and gas boiler cleanings at 754-4556. UPI, the best plumbers around. And by Ruper's Beverage and Redemption. When it comes to beer, wine, and spirits, don't botch it, squatch it! At 6 locations in Lewiston, Auburn, and Oxford. Learn more at rupersbeverage.com. And remember, the party starts at Ruper's.
We have the pleasure of being joined in studio today by stand-up comedian Matt Dundas. How you doing, Matt?
Fantastic. How are you, Mark?
Excellent. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Matt's debut album is called From Away, and he recorded it right across the street from us at Great Falls Comedy Club. We're going to talk to him all about that coming up here in just a bit. But right now, let's take a look at some headlines for Monday, December 9th.
St. Mary's Hospital in Lewiston announced it will close its intensive care unit at the end of the year. The change will allow the hospital to focus on the community's most critical needs, emergency and outpatient services, primary care, elder care, and behavioral health. St. Mary's will work with ICU patients to ensure a smooth transition to other hospitals.
Maine will receive $5.7 million in federal grants to provide reliable and affordable broadband internet across the state. Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Communication Alan Davidson said the funding will give residents the skills and tools they need to participate in our modern digital economy.
LL Bean announced it will lay off 50 to 75 workers in its second round of layoffs this year. A spokesperson for the company said the decision will help, quote, better align company resources with company goals. The first round of layoffs was in April, affecting customer service and call center employees.
And Doobie's Flower Shop in Lewiston announced it will close at the end of the year. Store owners cited the changes and challenges of operating a small business. The owners are involved in other ventures downtown and look forward to contributing to the growth and vibrancy of the area. Doobie's has been a part of the Lewiston community since the 1930s. Time for the weather.
More snow is on the way, which is fine by me.
Me too.
It looks like 2 to 4 inches between today and tomorrow, with high temps in the mid-30s and lows in the 20s. Rain on Wednesday will help wash it away with high temps in the 50s, which I'm also okay with.
Rain and snow. You just don't like the cold.
I just don't like the cold.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the snow, because that tends to mean it's a little warmer. When there's no snow in December, January, February, it's usually flipping cold.
Frigid.
So.
Frigid is all get out.
Matt, what's your take on the snow?
I like snow.
Do
I'm
ya?
in favor of snow. I moved here partly for the snow, just a little late.
Really?
Well, I moved here in very early 2020, and we got like 2 storms since then.
Maybe it's you.
Well, I hadn't. Usually that's my go-to assumption, but on this one, for some reason, I hadn't
Hadn't thought of that.
Thank you, Sarah.
Hadn't occurred to you
No, I don't know
before now?
why.
Yeah, it's probably you. Let's take a look at sports. The Patriots were off this week, but they'll visit the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday.
Bright side, they didn't lose.
They didn't lose.
right.
We'll
Got
get
through a week without
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll
Beaten.
get Lydia's hot take on that later this week.
Lydia had the week off, so
Yeah.
she's well rested.
Yes.
And she's going to make her big pick coming up later this week.
She had a bath and she's softer than ever.
Yeah.
I laid down in her bed with her. She's so soft right now. Matt, Lydia's a dog.
I was just hoping the audience knew. That's all. I knew that, but
I think they know.
That's how Nick Gordon got her. He took a shower.
He's so soft.
She laid down with him.
He's so soft.
that's very nice.
The Bruins visit the Winnipeg Jets tomorrow night.
The Celtics will host the Detroit Pistons on Thursday.
It was a rough weekend to be in Nordique.
Man,
My
they're
goodness.
having a hard time, huh?
Whether it was the North American Hockey League or the NA3, it didn't go well. The Maine Nordiques were swept by the Philadelphia Rebels over the weekend, losing 4-2 on Friday and 2-1 on Saturday. The Nords have now lost 6 in a row, so our intervention didn't do any good on Thursday, Sarah. On
not.
Do better.
Wednesday, rather.
Yeah,
better.
we had to come to Jesus with them, and it didn't take effect.
Yeah. Apparently, they forgot about it as soon as they left
They
here.
left. They got on the bus and they were like, Lydia, what?
The Nords now head to Elmira, New York to take on the Aviators this weekend.
Luck to them. The NA3 Nordiques dropped a pair of games as well. It's the Long Beach Sharks losing 4-2 on Saturday and 6-3 yesterday. They'll visit the the stinking Northeast Generals on Friday.
Peter Saihajas matched his career high with 24 points as the Bates men's basketball team upset Rochester 72-62.
Central Maine Community College swept a basketball doubleheader over Vermont State Randolph. Hunter Hartsgrove scored a game-high 17 points to lead the women's team to a 67-34 win. Ouch! JT Pound's 15 points led the Mustang men over the night 78-67.
That is your news, weather, and sports. And right now it is time for the podcast segment that is Sweeping the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
It's time for famous people birthdays.
They're famous. It's their birthdays. It's famous people birthdays. It's famous people birthdays.
Let's take a look at FPBs for December the 9th, shall we?
Yes, please.
Alrighty then.
Okay. this one's okay.
This one's
there's
all
a
right.
few
This one's
things.
all right.
Actor Simon Helberg from The Big Bang Theory is 44 years old today. He played Howard on The Big Bang. Let's see. Singer and guitarist Jacob Dylan of the Wallflowers is 55 today.
I know who his dad is.
I bet you do.
Yeah, somebody famous. Even maybe a poet laureate, right? Bob Dylan is the poet laureate.
Poet
Is he?
laureate.
He
I
was.
don't know what that means.
What
It's
does that mean?
It's like the. It's
What the
like.
hell are you talking about?
It's Monday.
Come on, you guys! You don't know what the poet laureate is?
It's the head poet.
Is it
Kind
kinda
of, yeah.
Chief poet.
Mandalorian?
It's
Is
like
this who-
chief poet
Like
of the
for the
United.
world?
It's like the chief poet of the United States.
Every
for the
country gets
country.
one.
Yeah,
They get to pick one.
The poet
Oh.
laureate is like the country picks. Like
Who picks the poet laureate?
I actually don't know the answer to that, Matt Dundas.
It's important. You were just ridiculing us.
Yeah.
At least I know who it is and what it is.
But you don't know why it is, which is the most important question.
I think he actually said no thank you when they offered it to him.
That sounds like Dylan.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
No.
I think he was
I'm
like,
good.
meh, I don't think so. Officially appointed by the government. That's it. That's all
The
it says.
government.
The
The
government.
government.
Yeah.
I
The
don't
deep
know.
state.
Because they have nothing better to do than
Yeah.
pick the leader
poet
of
laureate.
poetry.
Has anybody
in the
seen the
country.
preview for the Dylan biopic with
I
Timothy
have,
Chalamet?
yes.
I have to admit, it made me want to see the movie.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree. It's on my list.
I think it'll be good.
He does a really good job portraying his singing, at the very least.
Yeah, I was halfway through Like a Rolling Stone yesterday before I realized it was Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe one line in.
Okay.
Sorry.
You guys know Jacob Dylan from the song One Headlight and
That's it.
probably nothing else.
Probably nothing else.
Yeah, that song was included on Rolling Stone's list of the 100 greatest pop songs and also took home 2 Grammys with the
Wow.
Wallflowers.
Nice.
All right, moving right along.
I feel like he was in another band at some point,
Okay.
but I can't remember what it is.
Oh, it's probably called the Poet Laureates.
Oh, probably. That was probably it.
You never heard of it, Sarah?
No, no. I bet it was good though.
Singer Donny Osmond is 67 years old today.
Aw.
A national treasure.
Yeah, he
right?
really is. Yeah.
Donnie and Marie.
Donnie and Marie.
The variety show that took place in the mid to late 70s.
Yeah.
And then he went on to fight Danny Barnaducci in Celebrity
Was it
Boxing.
him?
Something like that. He was
I feel like
definitely.
we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was also on Dancing with the Stars.
Yes, I did
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
And he did The Masked Singer as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
he did?
I have never watched that show.
I haven't either.
John Malkovich is 71 today.
He is a treasure. What an incredible actor.
I'm not familiar with him. Can you enlighten me?
You don't know John Malkovich?
I wouldn't.
So,
I don't
listen.
know him. I've never.
Oh,
we've
you're
never
being
met.
serious.
Yeah.
You
Oh.
don't know who John Malkovich. So did you see the?
Say it one more time.
Sorry.
You. For those of
Wait,
you who
Sarah.
don't know,
You
For
been.
your benefit, I don't know who John Malkovich is.
So you haven't seen the movie Being John Malkovich?
That's
Is
the
that
only
what
thing I know him from is because I saw that. Remember back in the day when you had to pick out VHS tapes?
Yeah.
And they'd have the box and then the tape behind it.
Yeah.
I saw that movie.
Okay.
And it was available every time I went to the store. So I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to watch
In the
this.
Line of Fire? You never saw In the Line of
feel like-
Fire with Clint Eastwood?
Oh, my God.
Protecting the president?
I don't think I did.
From John Malkovich?
I don't watch a lot of good movies.
I
see.
feel
see.
like
I watch horrible movies.
So this is what I feel like I know the answer to this, and I chastised you before. You've seen the movie Con Air, or you have not seen the movie Con Air?
I have, but vaguely. I didn't really.
John Malkovich is one of the main bad guys in that movie.
Okay, why are you pointing at me?
Because I feel like you need to see this movie again. You need a second chance.
Have you ever seen A Talking Cat? Have you ever seen Roller Gator?
No.
Have you ever seen Santa Claus and the Ice Cream Bunny?
No.
Well, those are movies that you should see.
I would see them for you if you would watch Con Air one more time.
Have you ever
Con Air really that good of a movie?
It's terrible,
Okay,
which is why
I'm
I'm
like-
saying, which is why I'm pointing my finger at him, because he likes the bad ones, and that's a bad movie.
No, you don't understand. Con Air was in theaters. I don't watch movies that were in theaters.
There's a lot of bad movies that have been in theaters, though.
True.
It's true. As bad as Con Air is, it's on my list of top 10.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Have you ever watched Velocipaster? About the priest who turns
think we
into a
need to-
dinosaur. Have you ever seen that?
I think we need
I
to
don't
move
think
on.
you have. No.
I think we need to move on.
This guy drives to China, Sarah. Okay? All right.
How did this happen? How did this happen?
I think,
We're off the rails.
moving right along,
Let's do it. Let's go.
we're going to move out of the John Malkovich vortex now.
Yeah.
Beau Bridges is 83 today.
Did
it was
he-
Jeff's birthday last week. Yeah.
Oh. They have a famous dad, too, right?
Lloyd. Yes, who is
Like
awesome.
in the airplane movies? Is that Lloyd Bridges?
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Yes.
Copyright Paramount Pictures.
What a family that is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, remember the Fabulous Baker Boys? No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
I do. Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was Beau and Jeff, and Michelle Pfeiffer was in that one as well.
Pfeiffer. Oh my god.
Pfeiffer.
So yeah, Beau has won. He's a 3-time Emmy Award winner, 2-time Golden Globe Award winner, and 1-time Grammy winner.
We got a lot of award winners today.
We sure do.
Yeah.
Bo was in Jerry Maguire, too.
Was he?
He played the
Oh, the
dad
dad.
of the guy that wouldn't sign, the guy who had the
Jerry
handshake.
O'Connell. Yeah. Jerry O'Connell's dad.
All right. And Sarah, let's bring it home.
It's Dame Judi Dench's birthday. Do you guys know who she is?
I'm going to insert some crickets right there.
Come on. You guys. She was M in all of the James Bond movies.
All right. Go on.
She's been around forever. She's 90 years old today. You know her.
Yes.
Okay. I had to show Pam a picture.
Pam is less than impressed.
By
can you-
showing me a picture.
She's she did a lot of Shakespeare in her early career, and now she's in movies and stuff. I don't know. I
Now
think she's
she's in
special.
movies.
I think she's special.
She's 90. That's.
Yeah. In that in and of
I think
itself
just
is
for
an
making it to
accomplishment.
90, we should recognize
Yeah.
Judi Dench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's won a ton of awards too.
I don't mean to be disrespectful. I just
know.
don't know anything
Just
about
don't
her.
know anything about her. Yeah.
Those are your FPBs for December the 9th. Locally owned and locally focused, Lydia Media celebrates the heart of the greater Lewiston-Auburn area through 2 magazines, Uncle Andy's Digest and LA Metro Magazine, and the new Lydia's Lunch Bunch podcast. Each production shines a positive light on local businesses, nonprofits, events, and individuals making a difference in our community. Keep your advertising dollars local. Position your business in front of your target audience with Lydia Media. Learn more at lydiamediallc.com. Now we shift focus 100% to our guest in studio, stand-up comedian Matt Dundas, whose debut album From Away is now available wherever you get your comedy albums. Right, Matt?
That's right. It's
Yes.
available all over the place.
Get it.
Wherever you get it, except at any record store. You can't go and get it, like, physically.
Oh, it's digital only.
That's right, because
Yeah.
I don't like plastic.
You don't want to pollute the earth.
That's right.
Okay.
I know for a fact if I printed vinyl records, they'd all end up in the ocean. And that's just from my mom chucking it off the
Playing disc golf.
the pier when she's done listening to
Could be entertainment.
And Matt, you recorded From Away right here in the great city of Auburn.
Where else?
At Great Falls Comedy
That's
Club.
right.
And we're gonna get there, but we want to get a little bit of background on you as well, because the title of your album is called From Away.
That's right.
So you live in Maine.
Yes.
But you're not from here.
What gives you that impression?
I don't know.
I
may have listened to the album.
Oh, good research. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was between that and watching Being John Malkovich.
I thought so. You made the
I'm
right call.
I'm a Matt Dundas kind of guy right now. Yeah.
Should have called it Being Matt Dundas. No, I'm from Newton, Mass. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I complained. I was born in Boston, which is bad enough. And then after a couple days in Boston, they threw me in the back of a car and drove me to Newton, which was like was screaming the whole way.
Is that where figs were?
Yes.
Newton?
As a matter of fact, it is. We're very proud of that.
When I pulled in this morning, there's a Newton PD SUV parked across the street at the hotel, so that makes sense. They probably just
They tell me.
you?
They tell
found
me.
out you were here, and they were
That's
like,
right.
"Oh, okay."
How long have you lived in Maine and they're still doing that?
Well, I didn't even come straight from Newton. They've been following me all over the country. Yeah, so I'm from away. It's a great place to be. I just, I did observe that the phrase "from away" is a little standoffish, I think, for such an otherwise inviting place. Right. You all are very hospitable, very nice. Actually, one of the things that I love about living in Maine is that people are nice, and part of being nice is being a jerk when that's how you feel. And this is the first place that I've lived where people are like really open and honest since I left Massachusetts. I lived in Seattle and everybody was really nice. And after like 7 years, I realized nobody liked me. But they couldn't
nobody
say
told
it.
you.
Yeah, they couldn't. So then I ended up moving to D.C. for 10 years, where is a town where people are professionally well behaved.
Yes.
Professionally nice to each other. You never know who's going to be important tomorrow. So you have to be nice to everybody. So it took me a little longer, 10 years, to realize they don't like me.
They don't like you either.
Right. So then I moved to Maine, and pretty quickly people were like, "You're from away. We don't like you." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, my people. I'm here. I'm finally here. I'm home.
We'll be
I'm
nice
home.
to you, but we don't like you.
That's great. And you tell me that, and I know where I stand. I don't have to worry or wonder.
I don't have to wonder.
Yeah, this is so great. It's such a relief. If only it snowed.
It's you.
So you lived in Seattle.
I lived in Seattle.
Lived in D.C.
DC.
Now you're back in Maine.
Home.
I
went to camp here. I just want to be clear. I don't want to sound too defensive, but I think I did a total of 4 or 5 sessions. Like, it was a pretty meaty chunk of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been in big cities like
Big.
Boston, Seattle, Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Big
Auburn.
cities,
Yeah.
and now Auburn is where you chose
is where
to
I
do
wanna be. Yeah.
the thing.
That's right.
Why is that?
Yeah. What
We would like to know.
I mean,
Well-
I wasn't going to say it, but
Well, let's just be very clear. I no longer have access to those cities, so I couldn't.
right. Hence the following from the new. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like nobody comes here without being chased here, right? I mean, this is the end of the road. So I've been backed
It's Canada
into
next.
Maine,
It's
right?
Canada.
Exactly. And maybe someday soon, but here I am now. And look, a packed small club is better for me to have a great time in than a half-filled large club.
Yeah.
And I would have, if I'd tried to do this in Boston or New York, it would have been like 10% filled. So full house in Auburn. I thought that would get a laugh. Full house in Auburn.
We're just struck by the reality of
Yeah,
that.
no, that's the
As
problem.
two
It's-
of us being stand-up comics,
It's
we're
totally
like, yeah,
accurate.
no, we get it.
No,
yeah,
you're right.
yeah, yeah.
It's not an exaggeration.
I'm going to go cry.
Plus, it's a special space. It's got the
It's
low
nice.
ceilings. It's got the tight walls. The laughs bounce around, and it's just a really comfortable place. I wanted to perform the album in a place where I just felt really comfortable, so that if something didn't work, I would get right back into it. No big deal. And that's how it felt.
Yes. We've had people come from big cities, like yourself, big city comics come to that little club here and just be like, this is the greatest
Yeah.
space. So it Mark and I and Pam, we're joking. We know.
Matt, what brought you to Maine?
Well, I had to get out of D.C. I was dragged to D.C. by my wife. She got a job working in D.C. I wasn't working at the time in Seattle, so I had no good reason to say no, other than that I knew I was going to hate it, which I did because I decided to. Right.
Oh,
So for
yeah.
the first 2 years, I was like, I hate this place because I do. And then once I actually started doing stand-up down there, that was the big game changer. So about 3 years in, I started doing stand-up, and I was like, oh, there are real people that live in this place. But then after several more years, we had some kids, and we started sending them to school. And I realized I'm not from here. I'm not from Washington, D.C. This is a strange place. The Mid-Atlantic, it's a different culture. I missed my family. I wanted to, it's the normal crap. I wanted to be closer to my family, like a George W. Bush EPA administrator who's quitting or something. I needed to be closer to my family, spend more time with the. And I didn't want to raise the kids in a city. I wanted to. There's nothing wrong with that necessarily. I just like the open space. The sun rises, Sarah.
Right?
The sun rises.
I know.
It's
Here,
gorgeous. And of
you
course
can
the
actually
snow.
see
I
'em.
wanted them to be able to see snow.
Yeah.
Whoops. Damn it.
And then there's
It'll happen.
One of these days.
But I wanted them to be New Englanders. I didn't want them to be, and just forgive me, Mid-Atlanticers, but like passive yes people to the federal government culture. Because if you grow up in that area, you're not the type A who moves there to work for Congress. You're the poor sap who grew up next to everybody who's a type A that moved there to work for Congress.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a weird culture. It's a wonderful, beautiful place, friends. But this place is far better. That's all. That's the reason. It's far better. It's not perfect up here, but it's really, really great. I do miss it. I miss the city. I miss being able to, 5 a.m., go around the corner for some good Chinese food or something.
Right.
But it's all right. I can drive a couple hours to Boston if I really need good Chinese food.
It's there for you. Yeah, sure. So when did you start comedy?
I started, really decided, all right, this is the idiotic thing I'm going to do in 2013. So I was 36 at that point. I started really back in summer camp here in Maine. But, and then I did my first set at 25 in San Francisco, and I did it for like 6 months there, and then I did it for 6 months in Seattle. And did it for 6 months in D.C. when I first moved there. But never, little dab was like twice a week, which I thought made me a comedian. I was like, I'm a comedian. I perform almost 5 times a month.
Yeah.
And
Kiss
then
my rings.
Yeah, that's right. Why aren't I getting booked more? And then in 2013, I started doing it, and I realized I actually have to do this pretty much every day. And that's when I started doing it every day.
And then you moved to Maine, and you were like, "Oh my God, I can't do this every day."
I can't do this every day.
Right.
No.
Where can I go to do this?
But
every
I can
day?
do much longer sets.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do far fewer sets now, but I do far more minutes. And smaller audiences, but that's okay because they're all probably pretty much exactly the same as each other. So I'm getting really good at the main audience, which then I went to D.C. a couple weeks ago, did some sets there, and a lot of it didn't work. So it's very important to keep traveling. Maine's
Try
audience
your
is very
stuff.
particular.
Yeah.
You worked with Alonzo Bowden.
I did.
He's one of my
man.
favorite comics of all time.
Oh, he's great.
What was that like?
Oh, it was wonderful. He was very, very chill and warm and sweet. It was one weekend, several years ago at a comedy club in Arlington, Virginia. And, I didn't get too many of these opportunities, but I got a handful to feature for folks like him. He's on. Did you say this? Wait, don't tell me. He's done Last Comic Standing. He's a pro. He's probably, I don't know how old he was when I worked with him, maybe around 50. And he just kind of sat in the green room like a wise person.
Yeah.
And
He's a hulk of a man.
He's
too.
a big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big guy. And I decided I wasn't going to let the opportunity go without just asking a little bit of his story and talk to me about how he started when he was 30. And it was hard. I think we talked before the show. He was in the military prior to that. And I think it's a really cool thing. You get out of the military and you're like, I'm going to go tell dick jokes. No, that's not what he does, I don't think. But it's quite a transition to take over the way that he did with that great presence and that great voice. Then he coupled that with the great material and the performance. Yeah, it was an honor to get to introduce him. Four shows, I think we did. Two each night. That was so fun. Yeah, 375 people.
In your bio here, Matt, it says you've received accolades from folks like Norman Lear.
Wow.
And Michael Moore.
Yeah, that's not true. I just put that on my website.
okay.
No, that's true. That's true.
I mean, it's on the internet. It must be true.
I mean, Norman Lear.
So I've been told. This is what I was told.
Okay.
All right. Now you tell me if this is good enough to have done what I've done, or just put it on my website and have you ask me about it. So I participated in a video competition a few years ago for a group that Norman Lear started called People for the American Way. Which, when I first heard it, I just think it's the craziest name. When I first heard it, I was like, that's got to be a Karl Rove, like, oil Exxon. Like, it's got to be like the worst group ever. And then I found out, no, they're really great. And they want to root out corruption in politics and get rid of big money in politics. And they're having this big video competition. And I got a video camera and I got some editing skills. And at the time, I only had a 1-year-old, so she was pretty manageable. I could just toss her in the dresser drawer and do some video editing. So I made a couple of videos for that competition. It was a string of weeks, and they had all these different categories. And I ended up getting basically second prize, of the big grand prize. And the only reason I put this on my website was the guy that called me to tell me was very sort of distraught. He was like, I wish I was calling to tell you that you won. We loved that video so much. It was a massive debate at the table between you and the ultimate winner. And there were 5 other, there were 5 categories. So there were other good videos. And he just like, I want to make the point. At this table were Norman Lear, Michael Moore, and then a bunch of other really famous people whose names I missed because of the first 2. And and he said we were all debating it and we all loved it so much and we decided to go with the other video for the big prize. And I was like, well, you're all jerks.
But thank you.
But I guess that's great. It was a nice cash prize. And then I got to go to the National Press Club where they did a big press conference when they awarded the prizes. And because I lived in D.C., I was able to go. In fact, they flew people in. They would have flown me from anywhere. I should have gone to California.
You should have.
And then flown to D.C.
And then
for
flown
free.
back. Yeah.
Makes total sense.
Right, that would have made a lot of sense. And so, but I was awarded the. This is fun. I was awarded the prize by Kathleen Turner, the Oscar-nominated actress. And but here's the thing: I was a stay-at-home dad, right? So I have my baby. It's during the day. I got my wife's at work. I got to bring the baby. So I got this 1-year-old, and I got a suit on. I strapped her on. And I'm walking around in the back of the room with this baby strapped on, and everybody's kind of looking. It's like 150 people. There are members of Congress are there speaking. Like, it was great. And I'm the guy with the baby, and nobody knows what the hell I'm doing there. And then I get this award, and I unstrap, right? I figure I should take off the straps, and I take that all off. I leave that in the back of the room, so I'm just holding a baby now as I walk to the stage. And Kathleen Turner is looking really weird. She's just said my name, and now I'm walking up. She's like, "There's a baby with this guy. What do I do?" I wasn't expecting this. And she says, "Do you want me to hold the baby?" And without thinking, I'm just like, "Yeah, here." And I toss her the baby.
Holding this a long time.
I've never seen a person less comfortable holding a baby. The baby starts flipping out, screaming and screaming. Kathleen Turner's in the back, just like, ah! She's like... she couldn't hold it. Like, she barely, almost dropped it. I keep saying it. Her.
Your daughter?
She's a beautiful, wonderful 9-year-old now. And so nothing happened with Kathleen Turner. And I gave as long a speech as I could because I knew what was going on and I loved it. I saw Kathleen Turner struggling and I'm like, this is so awesome. This is never going to happen again. And I do this like serious speech about money and politics and everything. And this great thing happening behind me. And then I take my baby and I go. And it was super fun.
Take my baby
So
I go.
I didn't actually meet Michael Moore. I didn't actually meet Norman Lear. They didn't put anything in writing. But I was assured by the staff person at People for the American Way, which Norman Lear started.
Oh.
So this isn't just some celebrity they brought in. Like, this is Norman Lear's group. That Norman Lear and Michael Moore loved my video, and they were debating with others about whether or not it deserved the big prize, which would have been $25,000.
Wow.
So it's drooling
So
and
close.
angry again.
Yeah.
But it was a great time, and everybody should check out that really dated video now about getting rid of money in politics after Elon Musk put $220 million into the presidential election.
Yeah.
People for the American Way's campaign failed. However, it was a lot of fun, and I got some money.
There you go.
That's a great story.
Not bad, right?
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I like that one.
Kathleen Turner.
She was great. She was just great. But she
She
was
has
very
never
uncomfortable.
asked to hold another baby
Yeah.
ever again.
I hope not. She has no business holding at least that baby that
Does she
day.
have kids?
I don't know.
I'm terrified if she does.
I never checked it out, but yeah, she was very uncomfortable.
So let's-
Maybe she was sick. I don't. Now I'm feeling bad. Like, we're
Don't overthink
right.
it.
She
Don't
might have been
overthink it.
feeling bad that day.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have offered if she was sick.
That's true.
She
I
offered.
don't
wanna hold
think
a
she
baby-
thought I was gonna say yes. I think she thought she was being polite.
Yeah. And then she's like, oh, that totally backfired.
Yeah.
Now
Like,
it
of course I'm not gonna make you hold my baby. What? That'd be so weird. No.
But you were like, yeah,
Kathleen
do it.
Turner. I didn't hesitate. It was so fast. I almost threw the baby. Like, here.
You almost threw it to her.
I still refer to it that way. It's at school now. It's
It's at school right now.
Let's talk about the album recording.
Great,
Matt.
yeah.
You described the venue, which we all agree with. Great Falls Comedy Club is fantastic.
Yeah, fabulous.
When do you decide that you're ready to record an album?
on a walk one morning in early September. That's when. I realized suddenly that I was a little tired of some of my older jokes about when I had babies. I got some jokes about when my kids were very young, and then I thought simultaneously almost, I thought, oh, I have all these jokes about this election, or that sort of revolve a little in some way around this election. I remember what happened a few years ago when there was an election, and a lot of my election jokes really didn't work after the election. And I like some of these jokes, and I thought, well, they work now. And some of my favorite comics, I was thinking about, when they've had political material, they record it when it matters, and they capture the reaction in the moment that the material matters, and then that reaction is captured with the joke. Yeah. And so the joke won't work necessarily today if I tell that joke, but the audience laughed at it, a couple months ago, and now we've got that forever. So I thought, well, a lot of this material is either going to get dated, or I don't like it anymore. It's getting stale. It's time to ship it all out, and that'll push me to work on more material, new material, move on, talk about stuff I'm doing now, and comment on the the new administration. I get a couple of years to write a bunch of trashy jokes about lawlessness and chaos, and then hopefully go back to Great Falls Comedy Club and record From Away again. I haven't worked out the album. Still from farther away.
Yeah.
And this was a one-take deal, right?
One take. I asked for 2 shows, and I can still hear the laughter that Leonard had. You think I can fill this room even once? So, and the day of the show, I think we had very few tickets sold, and then suddenly there was a big boom, and so I appreciate the marketing they did, but they clearly couldn't have sold it out twice. So that would have been nice, because not every line was perfect. But what's nice about it is that I can say, hey, y'all, this was just this is the show. This is what it sounded like.
It sounds really good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just for folks who aren't in the biz, as we like to say here on the podcast, right, Pam?
In the biz.
Usually when a comedian records a special, it's 2 shows. They like do a 7 and a 9 or an 8 and a 10, exact same material. If they're recording video, same clothing, everything. And then they just take the best of both recordings.
Put it together.
Put it together. But Matt didn't need to do that. Matt was like, I'm so damn confident.
Nailed it.
In this album, in my material. No?
Yeah, I was just thinking about something else. I'm sorry.
He was like, Mark, keep talking.
Who did the artwork?
I begged for a second show.
Yeah.
So anyway, the artwork, my friend, here's a fun story about the artwork. So my friend Kevin is a great guy. We love each other. He's on the West Coast now. He's sort of a little bit of an artist, and I thought, I'm going to just pull some favors from some friends here. I need a picture of myself. I think it'd be fun if it was a drawing. I don't want a photograph. So I sent him a note, please draw this thing. He drew the thing, and then I record the album, and I send it to him, and I'm like, hey, I'm publishing this like 2 days, and it's got your artwork on it. Like, I'd love for you to just listen. Just shoot me a quick, don't post my artwork with this crap if you don't like it. I never heard a word. That's the end of the story.
Never heard a word.
I don't know if the guy that did the artwork is really mad and is like filing a lawsuit right now to get his artwork off the album, which, by the way, will be easy because I didn't print any vinyl. So you just got to just take the image off the website, and that's the end of it.
And he didn't credit him. So
I looked.
I'm just kidding.
I looked.
I credited him. That's
Drawing, yes.
Thank you.
You did.
Okay.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Boy, wow.
Drawings by.
I didn't have a response to that question ready, but I definitely credited him. I got to draw the back of my head for the back of the album so that there would be some cohesion to the record if I ever did print it. And nice. I got to say, I'm pretty psyched about the back of the head drawing.
I had to expand because it looks like a thumbprint.
Sure. Well, it also is my thumbprint. I asked him to please make my thumbprint look like the back
of your
so it could be
head.
both. You're the first person to pick up on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, extremely intelligent.
So is Kevin? He's very nice. You are.
Just ask her. She'll tell you.
Pick up on patterns very, very fast. So Kevin. The answer is Kevin.
All right.
Kevin
did the artwork.
Well, great work, Kevin.
Yeah, it looks good.
And there was a quick turnaround between the recording and the release of this album.
Well, that again had to do with the politics of it. I thought, I got all these political jokes. I know that almost nobody's going to hear this in the 4 days between when I released it and Election Day, but there felt like something authentic about. All right, let's rush it out so that it's at least when people look at when it was released in the future, they'll see that it was released just before the election. They'll see it was recorded a month before the election. The context will be obvious to everybody. It was a loud, chaotic time in early November 2024. There were a lot of demands. I heard something. I thought it was a demand for the album, and so I pushed publish.
What has the response been like for you?
It's been quiet. I can't lie. I didn't go to number one on iTunes, which is the first time I've ever heard of a comedy album not going to number one on iTunes. Can you name a single comedy album that is post to iTunes that didn't go? Because there aren't that many comedy albums, and it seems every time a comedy show comes to town, they're like, hey, I'm on iTunes, and my album was number one. I've never not seen that. So I think I'm going to put on my website, not number one on iTunes, to differentiate.
Yeah.
Because I feel comics are kind of contrarians, right? Comics are, we're like, when everybody else is saying one thing, we go the other way. So if your album is number one on iTunes, how good a contrarian can you possibly be? Everybody agrees with everything you're saying. That's not very contrarian.
You're a poser.
That's right. Yeah. So I like to think I'm ahead. I'm either ahead or behind. I'm not.
You're not with.
Right
Not
at the
with
right
it.
time.
Not in
That's
it.
for sure. But I think I'm ahead. So it's been quiet, but it's been really fun to think. I have an album out there, and if at any moment somebody wants to, they could listen to it. I'm excited. I'm convinced at some point it's going to be number one on a small mom and pop server.
Your mom and pop?
Well, they don't have a server.
They could.
Thank you. It's a very. No.
Sniper.
I get where you're going on that, Pam. No, I hear you.
Her nickname, by the way, Matt, is the Sniper.
The Sniper.
Yeah, she stays quiet for a bit, and then she'll come up with something that levels the room.
I did think she looked a little like the top half of the head of that United Healthcare guy from the photos I've seen. Take off your glasses, please. Oh my goodness. Yeah, my parents. No, I can't. Jeez, man, what was the? I can't.
We're fine.
Pam.
Well, Matt, you're number one with us.
Thank you.
And that's all that counts.
Thank you very much. Well, I hope to go to number one in Auburn, because really, if I can't go to number one in Auburn, having recorded it in Auburn and promoting it in only Auburn.
I'll listen. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, you haven't listened?
She
I
didn't
don't
get
know
the
what's
free
happening
link.
until I get here.
Yeah, we're going to close the show with a clip from Matt's album called From Away.
Yeah.
And you can learn more about Matt at mattcomedy.com.
That's right. Don't go to mattdundas.com.
No, don't do that.
Now everybody's going to do that.
Don't do it.
Well, once he tells them why, they probably won't.
If you do that, my experience is you go to mattdundas.com, nothing happens, and a virus downloads to your computer. Don't open the file.
Yeah.
Go to mattcomedy.com instead.
And that virus is called From Away, Matt Dundas' debut comedy album that he recorded right here in Auburn at Great Falls Comedy Club. So, Matt, tell us, before we get into our fun little game at the end here, tell us about the worst set you've ever had.
I've had some real bad sets, you guys.
Well, we all have.
Yeah.
But we want to hear about your worst.
The worst. Golly. It's a real serious competition for which show was the very... So there's several different kinds of worsts, right? There's the silently staring at me. There's the silently staring at their phones. There's the talking to each other. There's the I'm the wrong person for the space. That's probably the one that's the worst. I went to a party earlier this year, actually. I had one of my worst sets in my life in a party in Buxton, Maine. I was booked by an 80-year-old woman to perform at her 50-year-old son's birthday party.
Wow.
At 12 noon on a Saturday in Buxton.
Oh, boy.
That's a dream.
And I pull into the driveway, and it's a long driveway, and there's nowhere to park because there's like 50 giant SUVs lining the entire driveway. There's not one car that's not a giant SUV. And I stand there in the, I get all my equipment. I have to drag my gear in and my little stage light, and I got all this stuff, and I set it all up, and I do my little, hey everybody, I'm going to entertain you now. And oh boy, they were never in. They were at no point. There was one woman in the middle. There was so here's the site. It's totally light. I'm in a living room. There's a couch in front of me with the 4 oldest people I've ever seen sitting on the couch staring at me. Like 110 at least, all 4 of them.
Combined age of 500.
Really, there's like a walker, there's a cane, there's like a colostomy bag, and then behind them is the people who are able to stand, and they're like 30s, 40s, and then it just goes on. There may be 50 people there. Nobody's younger than 40 except a 19-year-old girl who's just having the worst experience of her life in the corner, just watching me cringing with every word. She was probably more aware than anybody. But there's like a 40-year-old woman in the middle who was laughing at first, but then she picked up on the vibe that we weren't supposed to laugh at this guy. And so, there were gasps. At some of the jokes, there were gasps. I was told there are no restrictions. This is rated R. These are all grown-ups. I told a lot of the same jokes I told in the album. And to say they were poorly, it was like they were offended. They're going to be talking about it for a long time in the family. Like, it's one of those things where, do you guys remember the time Mom brought that freaking crazy, quote, comedian to the... I told a joke about the JFK assassination that got just, like sounds I never have heard at a performance. Like from multiple people, like people were frightened. It was like I shot JFK right there in front of them. And so then I'm starting, about 25 minutes in, I'm starting to like comment, like, this is going to be memorable, isn't it? We're all having an experience together here, aren't we? And they didn't even, I was trying to get meta, with them. I'm moving the mic stand slowly closer and closer to the door that worked. That was the only thing that started to get chuckles. I'm like making my escape during the show. And then it ended and I turned off all the equipment. I took it all outside and the woman that booked me came outside and she's like, some audiences are just not very good. I'm like, so it wasn't just me. Okay, thanks, man. I'll take the cash now. Thank you. It was so unpleasant. I decided, frankly, and I'd done a few parties already in the last couple of years here in Maine. They were really fun. That was the first one that went sideways. I've since had a second one go sideways. I don't think I'm going to do more parties. Unless they're a person I know, unless they're a person... They'd seen my set online. They'd watched those videos that I just talked about. Yeah. They said they loved them. They booked me. She was standing in the middle. You could see... when the booker is standing there looking at the crowd, not like you... And they're taking it like, oh no, I've made a mistake. She was aware pretty quickly, I think, that she made a pretty big mistake.
Oh, man.
I think everybody in the room knew. So how's that? What a horrible question.
Thanks.
Thanks for reliving that with us.
What was your best set? What was the moment when you decided this was a good decision to do stand-up, Matt? No.
Matt,
no
one wants to hear about your best set.
You're right.
Yeah.
That was such a better story.
We want the horror show.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, good news is I got a lot more horror shows than good stories, so I can come back next time and tell you more.
Winter is on the way, and if you're looking to get your vehicle, home, or health ready for all that Mother Nature has to offer, look no further than Uncle Andy's Digest. You'll find plenty of local businesses that take pride in providing great service at affordable prices. Holiday gift ideas? Yep, we have that too, along with jokes, funny stories, shout-outs, an events calendar, and a whole lot more. Uncle Andy's Digest, your guide to, well, just about anything. Visit UncleAndys.com. We're going to do a little segment called 3 Random Questions, where we just ask you, get this, 3 random questions.
Whoa.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. If you could see anyone in concert, past or present, who would it be?
John Lennon.
Why?
Wow, that was quick.
I love John Lennon. I've never gotten to see him, of course. I was alive. We overlapped by 4 years, but he was dead by the time I was basically 4. And come on, it's John Lennon. It's the Beatles. I followed his solo career. Well, I didn't follow it at the time. You get it. But
you were an it back then.
I still am. Aren't we all? Listen, guys, we should get rid of all this non-it stuff. So yeah, I think he's funny. I think he's cool. I would like to hear what he says between songs.
What is the most irrational superstition you have?
Well, I hate flying. I'm convinced I'm going to die on every airplane. That's not a
Why would you
superstition.
go to California and have them fly you to D.C.?
She admitted they had an issue. Her brow furrowed. She was like, "That's not an answer. That's not an answer." But now I hear what you're actually saying. You're referring to something I said earlier.
We tend to do that from time to time.
That's called a callback. You remember that? So that's very deft. That's very good. Your experience. So I don't know. That's a really good question. I wouldn't have actually done that because I didn't do that. I think we established that was just an imagination that I had. I do fly. Here's the thing. I recognize that flight happens and that it takes you places that are far away pretty quick. And sometimes I like to go far away. I just flew to D.C. I hated every second of it. I was convinced I was going to die. I was listening to the podcast about the Boeing manufacturing problems on the flight.
Don't do that.
It's really important that we all educate ourselves about this company.
Not while you're in the air.
I was on a 737 MAX, and it was pretty. No, I wasn't. Look, I hate. That's it. Is that a good answer?
That's a good one.
Ugh. Everything about it. everything. There's nothing good about. I challenge anybody to name one good thing about flying other than arriving at the destination.
Well, I mean, just the fast travel. Yeah, I mean,
That's pretty good. No, you're right. You're right, Ben. I'm sorry.
I've driven to and from Texas multiple times,
Me
and
too.
I'll tell you what, flying is way faster.
Faster. I've traveled across the country, I think, no fewer than 6 times on a Greyhound bus.
Yeah, no, I'll drive.
I can't do it anymore. My back wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't make it to Toledo.
I'll drive, but I don't want to go on a bus. I don't want to give someone else that control.
Oh, they're very good drivers. They're professionals.
I know, but too many stops. You're not driving fast enough. Like, let's go.
Oh no, they cook. They cook sometimes in those western states. They go pretty fast. You get smoke breaks every couple hours. I don't know if they still do that. We were all smokers. That's the thing about the Greyhound. It was like in the late 90s, and they would stop for the smoke breaks. And I'm like, every single person on this bus is a smoker. Yeah. There's no need to open the windows. We just don't have to pull over. It's like 20 degrees in Montana. We're all outside smoking our cigarettes. Why did we stop? I guess it was the law. Sorry, was that a question? I'm so sorry.
We went off the rails again. It's okay.
That's what we do.
Do you like how my irrational fear is not Greyhound buses, it's airplanes? I'm so much more likely to die on a Greyhound.
Yes.
If you were in a fight with a movie monster, which one do you think you would be able to beat the easiest?
Oh my, Sarah, you've seen me, right? What do you think I know some moves? I can't. There's no movie. There would have to be something that was miniature, like in a Smurfs movie or something.
Gargamel.
What would it be? Yeah, I didn't even see this movie. It's Gargamel, but Gargamel's a person. Gargamel's a person, right?
I think maybe he is.
I don't think
he's a wizard.
Jeez, maybe I could outwit somebody. So I'd have to go with somebody who thinks they're clever, like the Alan Rickman character in Die Hard.
Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber.
Is he a monster?
Oh, wait. I'm not listening to these questions.
Define monster.
There's past and present. I heard dead or alive. You said monster. I heard bad guy. I'm trying to think of a single monster that I could even, like the abominable snowman from the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
That was easy. You just
coming
needed
into my head right now. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Thank you. I don't know. It's pretty big. Steps on a church. I don't have one of those nuclear blasters. Proton pack. I don't have one of those.
It could be something as simple as the Mummy.
I don't go for Brendan Fraser anymore. Anymore. Ever since 97. I don't know. When did the Mummy come out? Very, very long time ago.
I was thinking like the 1920s version of the Mummy. It's actually wrapped up in paper towels. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Guys, this is crazy. You'd think this would be the easiest question that I'd have. Like,
do you want a different question?
Yeah. Like, I can do that? I didn't know that.
Pass. I know that you're a musician.
Yeah.
So, what is your go-to serenade song?
Oh, like I'm gonna play you a love song?
Yeah.
I actually played my wife a love song a couple months ago. It was, man, this isn't funny. This is serious. Time in a Bottle by Jim Croce.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Did you get some?
Oh. No. We've been married 20 years, Mark. I cleaned the toilets. It's a beautiful song. I played it on piano. It's lovely. I like to play some Jim Croce when I can.
Yeah. You write your own songs too.
I do. Mm-hmm. I write funny songs. I write serious songs. When I write a good serious song, I get really unhappy because I got nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with it. I'm not going to go play it anywhere.
Yeah.
I played at your open mic when I wrote a song.
Yeah,
6
that
months
was
ago or
beautiful.
something. Thank you.
And you play with a good friend of ours, Derek Cody.
Oh yeah.
What's the name of your band?
Our band is called Doorknob. We have we've been on a long hiatus because Derek and I have had a lot of rivalries over the years, and we just really butt heads, and we've decided that just for monetary reasons we have to get back together and produce more work because it's our identity. We've both tried solo stuff; it doesn't work. I mean, it's fine, but So yeah, Derek and I have reformed Doorknob. We've got a back catalog of 15, 16 albums. I can't keep track. Greatest hits is triple platinum in. I think it was Malaysia. I can't remember.
None of this is real.
And no, but we're gonna make our
like since we started recording.
We're coming back. Shh, this is part of the mystique. So we're gonna make our debut again sometime soon. Maybe in the new year, we'll be getting back together, and we play a lot of really great original songs that we co-wrote with huge celebs. without their permission.
Cool.
I like it. All right.
That's fun.
His album is called From Away. It's his debut stand-up comedy album. He is Matt Dundas. You can learn more at mattcomedy.com. Matt, it's been a pleasure.
It's been so fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
We're going to play a clip from Away right now.
I grew up in the Boston area, moved here after 10 years in Washington, D.C. Yeah. Because I was like, I don't know, I lack some credibility in Maine if I'm from Boston, but why don't we up the stakes a little bit and move here directly from the place they hate the very most? Why don't we? I swear I was one of the cool ones. Anyway, I moved here for a very simple reason: the drivers. I don't know if you Mainers know this, you're the best drivers in America. By far. Yes. At least for me at this stage of my life, because y'all average about 15 miles an hour, and that is just right for me. It used to be 20, but then you legalized cannabis, and so then it went down to 15, yeah. I'm now in my older 40s, I'm in my late 40s, I got these 2 kids. I gotta calm down on the roads, you know? I was raised in Boston, lived in D.C. forever. I turned into a demon on the roads, you know? That's why it doesn't happen to me in Maine. It's the only place I've ever been where that doesn't happen. You know, it's worse than Twitter, you know, when you're driving in the city. It's just every bad thing that comes out of my mouth, every bad action. Like, here's the moment. If there was one moment when I decided to get out of D.C., it was when I was driving. I was driving home. I get to a stop sign. I'm half a block from my house. I can see it. It's right there. But I can't take my left because there's a giant SUV blocking the opposite lane, going the other direction, waiting behind a whole block of traffic at a red light. So I do what any proud Boston driver would do in that situation. I lean on the horn. I know he can't move, but he's going to have to listen to this because I have to sit here. So I'm proud. I have no shame. There's people. Pigeons are flying away. People are giving me glares. His window starts to go down. I'm thinking, okay. He wants to apologize. I'll hear him out. I put my window down and he goes, "This is a funeral procession." I'm sitting here, I'm like, you mean all these people are going to a funeral? Yes. I'm like, well, they're going to be going to 2 funerals if you don't get your car out of the road! What kind of excuse is this? He's blaming it on a dead person that he can't drive. Like he's in some rush. Is the person not going to be dead if he gets there 1 minute later? Like, unless the person was Jesus and he's more than 3 days late. The person will still be dead and he will have no problems. But, so I think we can all agree. I was right. Thank you. But then I started feeling a little guilty, and I decided to move to Maine, and that's my main moving story. Yes.
We'd like to thank our sponsors for today, Ruper's Beverage and Redemption and United Piping. And if you'd like to be part of the Lydia's Lunch Bunch advertising family, reach out to Pam. She's right over there. Via email at pam@lydiamediallc.com. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you tomorrow.